here.
Well, no, it's great to be with y'all. I'm always intimidated, coming on with abs. And I'm actually a little under the weather today. I got a little of the daycare crud from the grandkids, but I will soldier through. And I was noticing that in the video, which Johnny, I appreciate you putting that together. I had on my Wear Pink Wednesdays shirt, and it's so damn cold in Chapel Hill today that the pink I have on is down at the socks. So no pink on top, but I am wearing pink for brain cancer awareness. Do that every Wednesday. So
that's awesome.
Great to be here. Great to catch up with y'all, and I do appreciate the build up in the you make me a little nervous, setting the bar really high. You guys are the opposite of the equity world, right? The equity world, like Netflix, right? You take the bar off the rack, you put the bar on the ground, you jump over it, and you claim you're the world high jump champion. I mean, Netflix, they have less earnings than a year ago. They had their slowest growth rate in history, and yet they claim they beat earnings. So it is the question, Abs. And, when we were together last, we talked about, I had tweeted out right before the Father's Day weekend where we had the little collapse that, we were in this descending triangle pattern. You showed a couple of those a minute ago. And those are really ugly patterns from a risk perspective. Because what happens is, you're falling down to that support level theoretically, but then you bounce lower and lower. So there's just not as much demand. And so I tweeted, right before the Father's Day weekend, I said, look, no one wants to hear this, but the longer we stay at 30,000, the higher the risk that we break through. And just like in 2018, where we went from 6 to 3,200 almost overnight in that first week in November, we could have that type of drop down to as low as 15,000. 4 days later, we did wick down on June 13th to 17.5, 17.8, whatever exchange you look at. And I was pretty comfortable saying that was the cathartic bottom. It didn't hit the 15. Well, why 15? Look, just because it went from, 6 to 3,200 doesn't mean it had to go down exactly the same amount. They say Gonzo history rhymes. It doesn't exactly look the same. There's a settlement with the SEC. JP Morgan paid a record $962 million fine. Just let that number sink in.
How much did they make, Mark? Tell us.
But they made 20 bill.
Exactly.
And they're like, it's just a cost of doing business.
Exactly.
5%. I would do that every day, all day.
Exactly.
And so, they get slapped on the wrist, but no one tells them to stop.
Right.
Like, so I can make 19 billion free. And then, Bank of America announced the other day, right? They had 0 trading day losses in the last 365 days.
Wow.
I don't know anyone. Literally, I don't know anyone who can trade positively every day unless you're doing something that is rigged, right? And that's the banks are playing a different game. So, but the last type of market participants, and this is the problem, are the gamblers.
Yes.
And there's actually a fifth one that I'll talk about in a second. But the gamblers, they're the ones that buy things because they're moving, right? And it's, I hate to say this, right? Not politically correct, but it's mostly guys, because we, hunter-gatherer, we see movement, right? My wife says, go get the ketchup. I open the fridge. Honey, there's no ketchup. She walks up, grabs the bottle. I can't see it because it ain't moving. And so if the price is moving, the guys are going to come trade it. But then we did stupid stuff. Like we sent people free money. And I actually said, which is kind of funny, I said, Kevin, I'll bet you that Amazon is actually dead money for the next 10 years. He's like, oh, that's impossible. Well, here's the interesting thing. He was a good sport. He let me call the title of our session from You're Dead to Me, right? His famous line from Shark Tank, to Wearing Orange Shoes, Mr. Wonderful's Crypto Journey. And I went up and I said, here we are. Here's a picture of us on CNBC. And since that point, 4 years, okay, Amazon's up 12%, basically dead. Stocks are up 20%, basically dead. And Bitcoin's up 200%, 3x. He's like, that's fair. That's fair. That is true. That's fair. And so I said, so now you just raised a $250 million fund from the Middle East. to invest in crypto, in Web3. Why? How? Well, he said three things happened. He said, one, when the Canadians, he's Canadian, when the Canadians approved a Bitcoin ETF, like, huh,
Hmm.
there's some there.
Checkbox
Okay.
number one.
And so he created WonderFi and said, okay, we're going to go do some stuff in Canada and help people get exposure to crypto. And again, smart people, right? Great investors change their mind. Okay, that's not fair. There are other smart people that do other disciplines, but as engineering goes, pretty much as smart as it gets. 30% are going into crypto.
Yep. Bingo.
And this is why I'm here. This is why I'm hanging out with you. And
Yes.
it's why I'm in this business. One, I'm having more fun than I've had my whole career. And that doesn't mean I didn't love my career. I loved every second of my career. I loved working for not-for-profits. I loved working in the traditional world. But the people in this space are so extraordinary. So that's a really long lead into what I said. So I said, the one thing you've done, and I was saying this to this group of people in Vegas, that you messed up on, self-labeling yourself degens, which stands for degenerate.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea?
I have no idea.
You make yourself the enemy of us old people. We're like degenerates. We don't want to hang out with degenerates.
Right.
And there is one protocol, degen, that's tried to change it to the decentralized generation. The second thing is young people start everything. Everything good comes from a young person because they don't know what they don't know. And they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're not entrenched, and their livelihood doesn't depend on them being right. They can be wrong. And as Thomas Edison said, I've never been wrong. I just found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Failed. But that resilience to constantly be going. And you think about whether it was the internet with Mark Andreessen, or whether it was the browser with Mark Andreessen, or whether it was search with Larry and Sergey. I mean, these were teenagers, 19, 20 years old. And that matters because those people, the people who are established, the people at the tippy top of the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, they're like, oh, leave us alone. We like our cabal. We like, skimming off profits for ourselves. We don't want new technology to disrupt the banking system. And one where, we live in a world, where we wear our polo shirts and, we wear our labels and we want that affirmation that we're part of a club, right? We're part of the Harvard Mafia or the Yale Mafia. And they do a really good job selecting, right? They take the masses and they narrow it down and they find some smart people. They also find some privileged people and people who paid and all this stuff. But bottom line is it's not a bad system. And there's some pretty good professors and like. But to your point, now I don't have to travel to actually listen to the best professor in the world on chemistry. I don't have to take a class for thousands of dollars from a TA. I can actually watch the best chemistry professor who actually may be even more up to date because they're not entrenched in teaching from a textbook that's 10 years old and out of date before it finally goes to print.